So I'm delighted to welcome you all on behalf of Gurumantra. So M.Des in India, or how to crack NID and IIT and how to find a specialization, is what the aim of this webinar. So at Gurumantra, what we believe is nurturing design journeys is not just through books, but by creating actual conversations between the mentors, industry experts, students who have actually went through the journey of design, and uh, it's all about uh, ecosystem of designers which will be guiding you all. So, those who are with a different backgrounds of engineering, fine arts, architecture, or even those who have done with BDES, uh, for them, we have handpicked this panel. So, I would like to welcome all the three experts here. So, first of all, let me introduce our amazing uh, principal mentor, Anushree Ketkar. So, Anushree will be host for today's webinar. So, Anushree is a passionate space designer. She is with Guru Mantra since last 9 years now. She have mentored almost around now thousands of students for preparing them for design. And with her keen understanding of student journeys and the design ecosystem altogether, today she is here to guide you through a meaningful conversation with these two uh, passionate designers, Saie and Jaydev. So let me introduce Saie today. Saie is a dynamic young designer currently pursuing her master's at IDC IIT Bombay. She completed her BDes degree. She did it from Srishti Manipal Institute. And let's understand her journey of pursuing BDes and then taking a decision to pursue master's again in the design domain itself. So, welcome, Sai and Jaydev. So Jaydev comes from an engineering background, and he completed his master's in design at NID Ahmedabad in transportation design. His story is especially an inspiration to those who come from engineering background or non-design background. That design is not only for creative minds, even your technical knowledge can be complementary. So, welcome, Jaydev. So, together, these three experts are here to guide you. So, over to you, Anushree ma'am. So, just to make this conversation smooth, I request Anushree ma'am to have a dialogue. And please, all the participants, stay tuned till the last moment. We have a surprise for you all. So those who have joined today will be getting a complimentary workshop, and the details will be shared at the end. Also, the last 15 minutes will be open for the conversation with the panelist. Meanwhile, you can just note down your questions and put it in the chat box, which we will be discussing at the last. So, thank you so much, and let's start with the discussion.
Thank you, Aparna ma'am. Yes. So once again, welcome all of you. And I think it's going to be a very fruitful conversation today. We have two very interesting Guru Mantra alumni with us. And personally, I have seen Sai's journey. So I know how she has grown into this amazing designer. And Jaydev, I have met a lot of times and I've heard a lot of stories from many other mentors who are associated with Guru Mantra. So I'm also looking forward to hearing some of your experiences through this conversation. So let's start. Great. Okay. Uh, Sai, I would like to know, can you share a little bit about your journey from, Bachelor of Design to Masters, especially at Industrial Design Center in IIT Mumbai, especially, having completed undergraduation in design, uh, many people, think about switching over to a job, or what kept you motivated to pursue education and pursue postgrad in this?
My journey in design started when I took industrial design in Srishti. So, industrial design in itself, I found out over my specialization years, was a very vast field in itself. And I was pretty sure that I was pretty sure I would want to do my career in industrial design itself. But later in my third or fourth year, I realized the richness of the field and how much it wanted to offer more. And that's when I also realized I spent all these years trying to figure out what I didn't want to do in design. So industrial design also has very specification fields like furniture design, like space design, and all of that. So I figured out what I was not interested in, and I had a vague idea of what I was interested in, which was not sufficient according to me that I would find my job in this. So that's why I figured that I would need more time to gain education on in this particular field, and that I wanted to streamline my thoughts and where I wanted to work on and learn more about this field. So that's why I decided to immediately opt for masters in design after my
Mm,
bachelor's.
right. I think, and of course, there are advantages and disadvantages both, right? So even Jaydev's case is similar. Jaydev, in your case, how has the experience of the transition been? So because of, you come from an engineering background,
Yeah.
and maybe, NID as a design school is a bit of a cultural shock as well. So how
Uh,
was that transition for you?
yeah, I would say yes and no. It was a bit of a cultural shock, but the transition itself was pretty smooth because, uh, at least when it comes to transportation design, a lot of people back in those days, a few years ago, it was still dominated by a lot of people who had followed that typical route of engineering, then
Right.
design. So I was one of them naturally. So I just found my set of people over there, and that is why the entire transition was fairly smooth. And the whole decision of uh, taking up design after engineering, it was debatable. As in, throughout my design journey, I used to sometimes wonder whether I should have taken bachelor's for as in bachelor's in design
Mm,
also.
right.
But then that seesaw used to happen, what decision would have been the most appropriate. But after so many years of practice and working in different institutes and different workplaces, I would say that having a solid engineering background before design makes a lot of difference, and it sort of grounds your creations into reality, is what the bottom line
Mm,
is. So
okay.
that would be my yes.
Very nicely put. Yeah, I think I'm sure there must be a few engineers who have joined us today, and they might be wondering, is that the right approach? Because I've already done engineering, or I'm maybe,
Right.
by a third or fourth
Yes.
year.
Correct.
Yeah, great. So I think my next question will be, so you know, right? Let's, if we have to go back right to the beginning, where was that leap into design? Like, discovering design, the world of design, and was there any particular moment or any project that, pushed you towards it? So this question is for
Okay.
both of you. Anybody, either of you can answer.
I'll take it up first.
Yeah.
Yes. So this the start of the answer is a very cliched one, that I used to draw cars as a kid, and if there are any aspiring transportation designers in this
Mm,
meet, probably they will have the same answer. But through design, throughout my engineering, 4 years of engineering, I somehow realized that just doing this is not going to be enough, and
mm,
there needs to be a much more in-depth approach to all the problem solving that happens in the engineering sector. And that is where I sort of went back to my calling as a kid, where we
mm,
every other day we have to decide something new. Today I'll be a bus driver, or tomorrow I'll be an astronaut, or whatever. And then I realized, no, this is something that I could draw from my childhood, not just draw cars, but this as a very strong sentiment that I had throughout my childhood years and throughout
mm,
even my secondary school, that this is something that caught my interest and was just a lot more than just an interest. So that is what sparked the push towards design as a career
mm,
and pursuing masters, which was a very conscious decision that I took somewhere in my second or third year of engineering.
mm. Right. I think, and you're one of the lucky few who actually, recognize that spark and were able to follow that. So,
Oh,
yeah. Saie?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my case, I had like a very rough idea of what I wanted to do in my career, like the talk which when you have with your parents and when you go in 12th standard, that what do you want to do ahead in your career? Sorry, 10th standard. And
Mm.
at that time, I was sure that I wanted to pursue some field that was creatively inclined. So my choices lied between whether I wanted to pursue a fine arts career or whether I wanted to pursue any other career that supports my like that lets me explore my creative side as such. And
Mm.
that's when I joined Gurumantra in my 11th standard. And at that time, I had no idea what designing was. And Gurumantra actually it helped like talking to my peers and also these conversations with mentors. It actually helped me to define to give me a direction of what designing was, and that's where I found out okay, yeah, this is pretty certain. Until 11th standard I was in exploratory phase, that if I wanted to
Mm.
actually pursue design or wanted to go in some other conventional way of pursuing a fine arts degree or any other option in that. So yeah, and when I did my bachelor's, I found out that designing was still an exploratory phase in the bachelor's. Like you had to pursue a different set of subjects, and then you had no particular direction in what you were pursuing. And as Jaydev mentioned earlier, you needed that technical aspect for you to see the practicality in designs, because designs is not like generated in the air. And I found out towards like later in my bachelor's, a little later in my bachelor's, and that's why I
Mm.
decided to pursue masters, because I needed that. I felt
Mm.
that the technical bit of the things was missing in what I had learned design till now, and
Mm.
I hope to learn the technical bit in my masters.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting journey. I think there are a few students, I think, who have joined who are at undergrad level right now. I can see one or two names. So probably that this will definitely help them also. Maybe there might even be a few participants who are in 11th, 12th, and they are wondering whether to pursue this or not. And I think again in design also there are so many different disciplines now. It's a little confusing for many people. Like I think even awareness of some disciplines is not as prominent as others, right? So maybe I remember when I was in college, fashion design and interior design was very well known. Even product design was not as well known, but uh, nowadays there are so many different disciplines that it actually becomes quite difficult to decide that okay, this is what I want to do. Like in your case, interaction design, or in Jaydev's case, transportation design. But I know Jaydev mentioned that it's his that connection that he had. But other than that, was there any other factor that affected the decision that okay, yeah, this is the discipline I want to follow? And of course, there is the aspect of future jobs. We'll speak about that later as well.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
you can take it. You can. No, you can take it.
I would say that it was definitely not an easy choice to categorize yourself in what discipline that I would like to pursue ahead. For because I did my bachelor's in Srishti, it was a very lenient choice of courses for us. So even though I was an industrial design major, I could go ahead with a service design course for myself. I could go ahead with a branding
Mm.
course for myself. So that helped me know different topics, different disciplines and sub-disciplines in design. So that was, but that was also like a bad part of it, because then I just ended up being confused because I had so many things I liked and I had no way of tunneling them together, and I had no way of finalizing that one thing. So that is also a good thing and a bad thing. So one main resource that I found useful was to talk to these designers who are already
Mm.
experienced in a lot of different fields, and how they navigated their way, where they started. For example, I started in one thing and now I am in my second stage of my design where I'm in a completely different subject, and I don't know where
Mm.
I'll be in 2 years from now. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll also take up that question. My
Right.
since you just, I would like to just give a tiny detail into my journey to all the
Yeah, sure.
participants. So back when I was applying for NID, we had the option of applying for two different disciplines, and
Mm.
I, being the weird me back then, I just applied for one, which was transportation design.
Mm.
Fortunately, I went through, and life does come back at you in a very different way. And now I can say that my entire career has been split into product design and transportation design in equal number of years. So
Mm-hmm.
just because I'm uh, did transportation design in NID does not mean that I get restricted to that sector
Right.
only. At the end of the day, it's just about applying principles in any field of design that you
Mm.
would want to pursue as a career. So, yeah, that's
Yeah, that's actually very well put. It's the beauty of design that even though you might choose one discipline, you don't have to stick to that. Even in careers, I have seen so many people get different opportunities. Maybe somebody is a product designer, but they might get something to do with furniture design or packaging design. It's a very free flowing sort of a
correct.
field, we can say.
Yes.
Yes, great. Okay. Uh, Also, Saie, I think you mentioned a little bit about, that you joined Gurumantra and all, but other than that, how did you start preparing for the switch from bachelor's to master's? Like when you were preparing, we all know that there's this procedure of entrance exams. Was there any specific, habit that you had that, okay, this time I'm dedicating to preparation, or any courses that you took or any mentors that supported you through this?
So I had figured out that I needed to do my master's, or I needed a specialization degree in my third year of bachelor's. So right when I had gotten a fair enough idea of what I'm going to get from this bachelor's degree and what I want to be getting after the bachelor's degree. So that's when sort of I made the decision that I want to do a master's immediately after this. And in my
Mm,
fourth year, which is mainly grad projects and no educational courses per se in the last year, so that's when I towards the end of my fourth year, I started to study after like before 3 months of the exam, I think. And I gradually got into that flow where I just used to dedicate 1 hour max during the day, and
mm,
my main focus was my thesis project, because I was of
okay.
the opinion that if this is not complete, then I wouldn't be able to go ahead with the if I don't complete my
Mm,
bachelor's degree properly. So
right.
towards the end, when both the things got extreme, when the exam dates started getting closer and the thesis also started building up on me, that was a little challenging for me, because then I had to really find time to dedicate to
Mm,
both my goals that was there. But yeah, I'd say that I had some blogs and I had some readings that I was referring to along with my courses, like a very light set
mm,
of readings where I was learning about design theories, I was learning about brushing up on my knowledge of design which I had learned before. So this light work for my seeds preparation was started before right when I started my fourth year in design.
mm,
So it gradually picked up and I gradually
right.
streamlined. Yeah.
But how did you find time? Like you just mentioned that, both because you were doing parallelly, you were completing your fourth year also.
Yeah.
And I know the final year has a different kind of pressure on students, right? So uh, I think that passion and dedication, without that, it's not possible. But can you share a little about how you manage that time for these specific habits?
Yeah, so I had this book that I was referring to. So this when you search it on Amazon, it's pretty clear. Seed
Mm,
preparation for seed. That's the
mm,
title of the book. So I was referring to that, and I used to solve it as I casually in between my like
mm,
when I used to sit for a free time, like the free time I had dedicated for myself. So it feels like a fever dream now, but it was like a choice that I had to make between
mm,
what I had to prioritize, what I already know. So that stuff I sort of pushed it to a later part. So I had initially to figure out, I dedicated most of the time to figure out what I'm not good at right now in preparation for seed. For
mm,
example, the math subjects, the physics subjects that other participants who come from engineering background can easily solve them. So that those stuff I was not really good at, so I had to work on that specifically. I had to dedicate most of
mm,
my time and energy to learn and brush up on these topics that I had learned before my 12th standard. So after the 4 year gap,
mm,
I had to go back and study those topics, and some things like sketching and the part B stuff that people say in the seed, that I
mm, right.
pushed to a later part. I dedicated the least time for that part because I had a certain amount of hold on that category, that part of exam. So,
Okay. Okay, quite interesting. And since you mentioned that, the skill for particularly for part A in, seed exam, uh, I'm just wondering, Jaydev, if you have anything to add to that, where, any particular, or maybe did your engineering background help with, the part A of seed?
Yes, it did help me in the part, specifically in the part A, because as an engineer, we are trained to think in a particular way for solving such problems thrown at you. But then equally, we fall short in the second part, where it's a little more. It, you have to explore and you have to show it in an artistic way, is what how I would like to put it. But
Right.
I think the balance needs to be stuck, and at least for NID, I would say back when I was appearing, it was more towards general knowledge and
Right.
then explaining your concepts in a depicting them in a best possible way. So I think just being curious is what helped me quite a bit, because you never know what gets thrown at you. So you just need to have some idea about everything and not the
True.
entire idea about only a few things is
Right.
what is necessary.
Yes. Right. Just out of curiosity, you had appeared for UCEED, SEED as well at that time,
Oh yeah,
or
I
only
had.
NID?
No,
Yeah.
I had
Okay.
appeared for SEED, MIT, and NID.
NID. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to clarify, in case any of the participants might be a little confused about what part A, part B are we talking about. So all of these design school entrance exams have one written exam, which is the first step of the procedure. That has a part A, which is more about it has MCQs or MSQs, where you are asked questions based on a little bit of analogical, analytical, a little bit of visualization or spatial ability related. So I think some technical questions come under that. And the part B that we are talking about here is where you apply your imagination, storytelling skills, like Jaydev mentioned, curiosity, and that is what they check in the part B. So another add-on question to this would be any specific skills. So I think after this, that the second procedure, once you get shortlisted in this theory exam, I think the second procedure is where they ask you, call you for a studio test, and then the interview process. I think at Jaydev's time it was slightly different, whereas maybe Saie experienced a different process this year. She since she just got just took admission last year, but. Any other skills that you did prepare for the rest of the procedure, that is the studio test or the interview?
So the process in our case was we had the initial seed score. Seed, when you apply for the exam, you study for the exam, you get a seed score, and after you get a seed score, you have to have a application. There's an application round, so wherein they
Mhm.
ask questions, non-academic and academic questions, as to some sort of statement of purpose type questions, where you have
Mhm.
to justify why do you want to apply for this particular college or this particular field. And then after you fill those out, there are some situation based questions that you have to answer in the application only. Like they'll give you some sort of situation and they'll tell you to sketch some rough ideations for it and explain why did you opt for this solution. And then you also
Mhm.
have some non-academic questions, like what do you do during your free time and what makes you a designer, what sets you apart as a designer, questions like these. So that application round was the first filtration round for us. After that,
Mhm.
you get to the studio test and interview round. So
Right.
for the studio test and interview round, you have 1 hour to uh, 1 hour to show how what all can you do in the given materials and what all can you do in given in that time frame, and how much, yeah, like you have a time crunch where you have to ideate, you have to use your existing readings and research in that, and you have to also come out with a decent enough product or a decent enough
Mhm.
idea at the end of that hour. So I remember this interesting thing that happened during my. So I had applied for two majors, right? It was an industrial design majors and an interaction design in IDC. So
Mhm.
during our in this industrial design studio test, they had given us some task about designing a park bench for elderly. So in that, they had given us materials given to us were a glue stick, the Fevistick 10 rupee stick that you get, and a very thick GSM paper. So I realized it very late during the studio test that the Fevistick was not really meant for sticking that paper. It just made the prototype very messy. And by the time I realized it, it's too late. So I think the presence of mind and how much can you work under that stress and pressure also played a huge role in that.
Right.
And that was one thing I sort of hoped that I would knew earlier, that okay, I need to take these materials also into account when I'm prototyping with these. So the
Right.
people who got in, like they, when I talked to them after they got in, none of them used the glue. They just made something with origami, which is also a skill that some of them, experimented around before coming here. They made stuff with origami, or they just had that finesse to the product that they had made. So that is also that plays a huge part in the studio test.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think what you mentioned, like presence of mind, I think is important in any exam, right? So, uh, I think, like you mentioned, most of the people, and most of the times, it's very overlooked that these design schools are actually looking for just hatke thinking, right? So that part is overlooked many of the times. Um, any personal tips or hacks that you can give for this? Like just now you shared that, okay, not everything that might appear on the table has to be used. Any other personal hacks that you could give for cracking that studio test stage?
So when I got in interaction design, when I was sitting for the studio test for interaction design, the task which we were given to mainly directed to a solution that was digitally based. So interaction design is like majorly
Right.
perceived as a UI UX field, as a digital field.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people came under that pretext that they would hope that they'd solve a digital problem in that particular category, and then they'll get in, and or they'll have an upper hand in it. But me being from an industrial design background, I played to my strengths over there, and I just came up with a very so the question was to create a educational tool for 6 year olds. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, the basic sense didn't make that why would you create a digital tool for a 6 year old and to help him or her learn mathematics. So I just created like a very low fidelity toy for the 6 year old to learn basics of mathematics. And that was the thing that they mentioned it in my interview round also, that this one standed out a little, like
Mm-hmm.
apart from the other digital stuff that came in. So I'd say when you play to your strengths and not go with the flow, like have your own identity and what makes you a designer, how have your experience shaped you as a designer, even though you're not from a bachelor's in design background. How do you implement that your previous skills in the test plays a huge role, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Jaydev?
Oh yes, I would like to pick on one word that Saie used is standing out. And I would like to narrate a small story of mine when I had appeared for the NID studio test.
Mm-hmm.
So the assignment, the task that was given to us for that studio test was to create a motorcycle out of clay and a bunch of cardboard sheets that had been given to us. And we also had a human cutout just for scale reference. So everyone was just plucking their head out that how are we going to make clay wheels and then make it stand, because the human figure was standing. So I remember everyone struggling to make it stand. Some of them made a motorcycle that was just it had fallen on the ground, and I somehow realized that this is not what is. When did they give a definition of a motorcycle in the question that was given to us? So I just made the body work using the clay, using the cardboard, and towards the end of the, I think I did the wheels in the last 5 minutes. I just took two blobs of clay, made two nice laddus out of it, and used them as wheels. Who stopped me from making spherical wheels? So that was my concept. And the funny part is, after I came back from the entrance exam, the studio test, I was just browsing on the internet, and I don't know what if it was a coincidence, but Goodyear had just launched a spherical wheel back then. So uh,
Okay.
yeah, I think either they were spying on me or we were just aligned when it came to our thoughts. So interesting story.
Indeed, very interesting. I think that's the key here, that breaking out of that mold, they just want to check whether, you're willing to step outside the box a little bit.
Exactly.
Very great. Yeah,
I think
great.
like just adding on to that,
Yeah.
I think how you can play around with them playing you around is how can you find loopholes in their
Mm,
they have like very simple 2 or 3 statement briefs. So, I mean, if you find like very unique loopholes in that
mm,
statements, it's like there's nothing like it there.
right. I think that's the key to actually cracking that exam.
Yeah.
While everybody tries to find answers, in the questions that they give, it's actually reading between the lines, which is overlooked a lot, I feel. Okay, coming down to one of the the big questions, that is portfolio, which is like a big, for especially students who come from engineering backgrounds. I think many students who come from architecture or applied arts or design backgrounds, they have a bit of an idea about what a portfolio would be, but many of the times in case of students coming from engineering backgrounds, for them portfolio is something which is a bit of a mystery. What are we supposed to include in that? How to curate the portfolio? Can you both share a little about how you prepared your own portfolios?
I'll take that first, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. So since you specifically mentioned that architecture or fine art students have a rough understanding of what a
Mm,
portfolio is and how should they put together their work, and engineering people, they essentially make that black book for their
mm,
graduation project, and that's their minimum exposure to presenting things in a printed format. I would say, without losing your engineering core, try and adapt new things into your portfolio, because if you try and make it extremely artistic, then it sort of reflects that, oh, this is something
mm,
new that I'm trying. But if some form of engineering precision and all of that qualities, all of those qualities are reflected in your portfolio, then that is also an additional, uh, I would say, that is a point that the jury members are looking at. And
mm,
also, I would say people just cram in all the work that they can figure out they have done, and instead of that, just focus on, because the competition itself, because of all the people that are coming there, they are presenting their best work. So instead of just having a volume, make sure that you have the best possible works in your portfolio, is my suggestion.
mm, mm. Great. Saie, what about you?
So when I created my portfolio for this exam, I had like a list of projects that I wanted to include, and I had arranged it in a way that showed my evolution in my design. So I had the projects that I related to the most, even though they were not extremely fleshed out. I made sure that I showed what areas I was interested in within design. Like for example, I highlighted my research processes and my ideations in my portfolio, and didn't really focus much on what the end result was, because I was more interested in how I ended up on that solution. I was interested
Mm,
more in conducting research. I was interested more in those subjects. So I made sure that the one who is viewing my portfolio knows that what my interests are in the portfolio.
right.
I made sure my selection of the projects were the projects that I was the most thorough with. Like I know the exact, even though it was a group
Mm,
project, I knew even though they questioned me on this particular part, I would know the answer to that question.
mm, mm,
So I made sure that I included, and I also made sure I included the other parts where I my illustrations or my wall murals and other stuff like that,
mm,
because that's
right.
how makes me the designer that I am. I like to also design serious stuff, and also like to research on serious topics, but I also like to play around a little, and I that sort of influences my design style also. And
Mm,
one thing was that I also, the vocabulary that I used in my portfolio was not the standard vocabulary or the template vocabulary that you would use. It was how I speak to someone that when I'm explaining the project, vocabulary or say palette or
right.
theme, whatever it is that reflected who I am as a person in the portfolio.
Mm,
I mean, that's a very standard advice that the portfolio should be you. But often people just try and fit themselves in a template that is generalized, like a PowerPoint template or a whatever Photoshop template, that, and they try to fit in their personality in that template to make it look good. But you don't want to look good, you just have to be as genuine as possible when you create your.
Right.
I would like to add one more point to
Yes.
what Sai said. Very simply, tell a story. Don't say, okay, this is my project, yeah, this is the output, this is the other project, this is the other output. Tell a story which connects with you as a person and not just something that has been forced onto you. Okay, man, I have done this project because I was told to, and all of that. Instead of that, this is something that is very personal to me, and that is why I did something like this. And how it has actually, the output has me in the output, is I would like to put it. That is something that connects with me as a person, is the most important thing.
Right. I think you covered quite a lot of important points here, both of you. And I think you even, very cleverly mentioned what not to do in a portfolio. So, which, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about. People just go on filling the portfolio just for the sake of it, how it will look like, okay, I have a lot of slides. Or I think back then, there used to be physical portfolios, so it will look very, bhara hua or something like that. But I think it's very important to stay true to, who you are and what you have done, right? Okay, great. Very interesting. Um, just as we were speaking, I thought of, it goes back a little bit to the first question that we spoke about, Sai. Uh, as a, B.Des graduate, why did you feel like, was there any specific reason you felt the need for a master's degree, or did you have any experiences which, you felt, okay, this will add more value to my education?
Right. So around my third year in my bachelor's, so I was in my phase of experimenting a lot, and that's when I came across the readings of these specific product design fields that I felt that created the most impact around the world, and the fields in which I didn't even know that design played a role. So I started reading around. For example, my keen interest in that particular time was in medical device innovation. So this
Mm,
field I had not really heard of before and didn't know that design existed in this field. I thought that this was something that only medical professionals do. And I was aware,
mm,
coming from a medical family, I was aware of the impact that it does on people. And that's when my interest sparked that how can I play a role as a designer in this field. So what I did from my third and fourth year was whatever the brief they used to give us in whatever course that I was a part of, I used to direct that course into this so that I can learn more about this in medical device innovation field. And that's what promoted me. So when I was researching on IDC, IIT Bombay and the faculties and the projects that have come out of this college, I read about the faculties that teach here. Some faculties, they have their specialization in this particular field and they handle the projects of this level. So I thought that if I could get this mentorship and this guidance from like from by being in a design college and going to a master's directly, I could polish my interests and I could know more about this field and probably find my career path through this field. So
mm,
this, I wanted to pursue this sudden interest of mine. So that was one of the main reasons why I decided to pursue in this
mm.
particular college itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So I think Sai's answer is leading me to ask Jaydev a very important question. So coming from an engineering background, do you think masters in design would be essential to transition into a career in creative domains? Especially from an industry perspective, what are your thoughts now that you have worked also in this
Yeah,
field?
yeah, absolutely. I would say a degree in design is essential, because without that, uh, I would say no one in the design fraternity or in the industry takes your opinion that seriously, is what I have observed. Now,
Mm,
I know a lot of people, even in my previous organizations, who have tremendous design skills, but just because they are not certified designers, uh, it is often overlooked, their opinion.
Hmm.
But anyone who has a combination of engineering and design can not just solve the engineering bits, but it's basically that individual is taken seriously in the engineering domain and the design domain as
Wow.
well.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned right at the start, there was a seesaw of emotions whether I should have pursued design for bachelor's level also. But now I can surely say that, as I mentioned right at the start, that any of my creations are grounded in reality. That is because of the engineering background that I have. And
Hmm.
as designers, we come up with very flowery creations. But what is flowery and yet doable is what an engineer who is also a designer, uh, who has traveled that route,
Hmm.
would be able to properly execute, is what I would say.
Hmm. Right. Okay. That leads me to wonder, how since you have worked in academia as well as, in the
Yeah.
industry also, uh, how can you share a little about how different the experience on working in certain projects, especially, say maybe academic design projects or solving real world problems?
Hmm.
Uh, how does that differ?
Oh, okay. So sometimes, so this is a personal thing that I would like to
Hmm.
tell. A lot of transportation design students think that, oh, I'll get to design the entire car right at the start of the
Hmm.
academic course. But then you sort of realize that no, that is not a single person's job. And sometimes reality hits you in a very hard way where you are doing a lot of things that are not necessarily what you had thought. But
Hmm.
all those tiny bits come together, and then once you see that entire vehicle or scooter or car, could be anything, that is when that fulfillment hits you. But approach for an academic project is vastly different than how you attempt a proper, at least I would say, just a vehicle project, because I
Hmm.
am a transportation designer by training. uh, Anything that happens in an academic environment is not, a lot of times it's not very realistic.
Hmm.
But to turn that concept into reality takes a lot of time, takes a crazy amount of effort. And that effort is sometimes, it breaks hearts and minds, is what I would say. But the output, the end of it, is very sweet.
Yeah. Very nicely put, I think, because when we are in college, we have a lot of not dreams exactly, but there are a lot of things that we think, kuch bhi ho sakta hai.
Yeah.
And then reality hits, like you said.
Correct, correct.
Uh, Also, what do you think uh, after masters? Now that you have been working, also, do you think
Mm-hmm.
there are any options for any certifications or industry internships
Yeah.
that maybe if somebody is trying to find out, okay, is this
Mm-hmm.
right for me, or
Mm-hmm.
after masters I would like to do this, anything like that you would recommend?
Yeah, internships, as you mentioned, uh, incredibly essential. They are the reality checks, I would say,
Hmm.
whether your skill is up to the mark, or where you would like to improve, or what sort of industry do you want to fit in, or do you like or you don't like, because that is also equally important. So
Hmm.
internships, do as many internships as possible, and only then you'll figure out what is your calling. And I would say skill upgradation does not end. Even today, for me, skill upgradation does not end. I am
Hmm.
doing constantly doing new things, and there are thousands of different things that are coming our way now. AI
Hmm.
is suddenly a huge part of the workflow.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone is going crazy about it. So it doesn't end. So even if I have finished my masters quite a while ago, I'm still constantly learning new things, trying to adapt them in my workflow. And at the end of the day, we all want to improve our work. So doing new things and constantly grasping new concepts, and could be anything, could be simple, could be like a software, or just reading something. But that
Hmm.
skill upgradation constantly has to happen.
Hmm. Right. And I think there is a lot of options also online nowadays. There are many certifications which you can do, especially like for AI. I think a lot of things are coming up, and
Yeah,
we need to walk hand in hand with that.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Sai, also, just out of curiosity, did you consider pursuing masters outside India? I know you mentioned that you were specifically preparing for IITs, but did you also consider any foreign universities for this?
So I had both the lists ready. I had a
Hmm.
three college list of Indian colleges and a three college
Hmm.
list of abroad colleges, and I was fully prepared that if my this attempt I don't get in this attempt, I would like to like immediately go ahead with the masters or the fall semester
Hmm.
admissions. So
Hmm.
I had that list prepared, and because all the courses that I wanted to the areas that I wanted to pursue in my masters, I had thoroughly researched them of like what do these universities offer me, and I also had this monetary aspect that I wanted to consider during this. So I had beforehand I had started to gather information about scholarships, and I had started gaining information about
Hmm.
these fellowship programs also. So I was
Hmm.
pretty certain that I wanted to have one more educational degree before starting my career in the market.
Hmm.
So like I had just and like my choice was just between if it's going to be in my country or if it's going to be over there.
Right.
So I was not hell bent on okay idhar hi karna hai. वैसे.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Like you mentioned about scholarships, this is one big question on everybody's mind who might be preparing for masters. I think what would be the job scenario after MDes, So maybe in say your case, it could be any scholarships in, your universities or any teaching opportunities, TA opportunities. And maybe Jaydev, you can give, shed some light on how it is in the industry related to product or transportation maybe.
So I just answered this. Like I have seen many of the IDC seniors remain a part of IDC through research projects. They work
Hmm.
under a professor who is handling industry level projects, and they work under them
Hmm.
for 2 3 years, and then slowly find their way into like what are they actually interested in, and they slowly go in that
Hmm.
direction where they are what project they are handling. They transition from their grad project to a research project and so on.
Hmm.
And TA opportunities, you get teaching assistant opportunities throughout your 2 years in masters. So you can
Hmm.
handle small level of projects, and then if your
Right.
professor is willing, you can also see if they can incubate. If IIT universities can incubate your projects into a startup project, that can be like a
Hmm.
big opportunity. So yeah, apart
Right.
from the other uh, positions in jobs like design strategist or UX researcher, these are the commonly known job opportunities. But
Hmm.
startups and research fields are also equally promoted here in masters colleges.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Jaidev, your input?
Yeah, I would like to second what Sai mentioned because a lot of specifically to related to transportation or product design streams, I would say instead of just focusing on the legacy brands, or because a lot of people when it comes to transportation have this dream in mind, oh, I want to work for Tata Motors or I have to work for
Hmm.
this particular company. So instead of just focusing on those dreams, there are a lot of other startups and new age companies that are not just doing work in the exact automotive field, but also in allied fields related to basic transportation design. So such opportunities are coming up quite, there are plenty right now.
Hmm.
And I would say diversifying your skill set is what is going to make you relevant for such opportunities. And also, as I mentioned in the previous answer, that keeping on with the learning part
Right.
is what makes you relevant for not just transportation related
Hmm. Hmm.
employment opportunities. And
Right.
one more from what Sahi has added to this answer, uh, doing your own thing is highly promoted in even in NID, or as she mentioned, even in IIT. So
Hmm.
not just having this job seeker mentality, but being a job creator
Mm,
is
mm,
an incredibly lucrative field, and I can vouch for this because I also started. Just to give you a bit of information that is not directly related, but my graduation turned into a startup, and
mm,
it eventually led to uh, it was a defense vehicle that was
mm,
displayed at one of the expos that happened in India. So
mm,
you never know, something you think of it as a college level project could eventually turn into a proper product that is probably used by millions. So
mm.
never stop thinking from that perspective as well.
Wow. Okay. That is very inspiring, I think, for a lot of people, right? So uh, I'm not sure. I think it is a little underrated what you mentioned, and uh, probably, that it could be one of the reasons, for these colleges to choose you also. Maybe when
Yes.
they speak to you through interviews, or maybe it could be your solutions that you come up with in the entrance exams. What do you think would be maybe your top three strengths which helped you stand out in this?
Okay, so one answer is in the question, standing out. Uh, See, my simple thought has been that the first 10 thoughts that come to your mind when you're solving something, uh, the person sitting next to you is going to have those 10 exact
Mm,
thoughts.
right.
So the 11th or the 12th is when you actually start thinking. And
Mm,
maybe by the 20th proper thought that you have had is when you start differentiating from the rest of the room.
mm,
And so standing out is going to make, I know it's a slightly odd
cliche, yeah.
answer to, yeah, but just stand out,
Mm,
have things that are not very common, and I would say have a very, just be curious. Don't say, oh no, that is not related to me, or that is not my thing. Just be very
mm,
open to different things, and I think that would uh, naturally lead you to certain things that are going to differentiate you, or the perspective that you have on things.
mm,
I think those are the two main things I would say would help.
mm. Okay. Sahi?
I'd say just be very, very genuine when you are, especially applying for, like, going for interviews or displaying your work or whatever it is. Just be very genuine to your work. Be clear if you have, like, I recently saw some portfolios, the incoming batch, the junior batch, which right now got admitted. Some of them had sent me the portfolios, and you could clearly spot AI generated text in their portfolios.
Mm,
And if
mm,
I could spot it in my whatever 6 months of being in this field. You can imagine what
mm.
a 20 plus years of experience,
Right.
what the professor can spot. So just because you want to be a good designer doesn't mean you let go of all these aspects that make you like a designer.
Mm,
So just don't fall under the pretext of being this, like falling under some kind of category. Just don't do that. I feel the only advice I'd give is just be genuine. That's all. If you
mm,
don't like a particular thing, like I remember this one thing I had said in my interaction design interview, that someone had asked me, you don't have any UI UX project, you don't have any UI UX skill that you have in your portfolio, why do you want to apply for a UI UX design
mm,
major? So I said, I don't really like UI UX design. I don't like making screens. I'm from an industrial design background. I like hands-on skills. I want to pursue interaction design through that area. No one said that I wanted to do
mm,
UI UX design. So just don't be sassy when you're being genuine. So and
mm.
just, yeah, say what you feel is what I think.
Right. I think that's similar to what Jaydev just mentioned, that you have to just stand out. Maybe the others who came for the interview along with you might have said that, I want to create some screens or create
Yeah.
a new app and things like that. Right. Okay. Uh, Also, I'll just maybe could be a little bit of a, what do you say? I heard from a birdie, that little birdie, that Jaydev, you got into NID on your first try, right? So, you already mentioned that you had applied, elsewhere also, but there are many students who actually apply for NID, IIT, 2, 3 times they appear. So, what do you think? Could there be any, I know we've already discussed this a lot, but any other hacks that you can suggest for this?
Um, okay, so just to clarify, this wasn't exactly my first attempt. The first attempt that I
Okay.
gave was I thought that I'll just see what it is. I didn't even
Mm,
want to go during that
mm,
academic year, and I remember that I clearly did not even attempt 2 or 3 questions out of the 10 that were given to me for that
mm,
studio for that entrance exam, and I just wanted to know what it was. And after coming out, I was like, "ये क्या था?" So that gave me a perspective ki where I was from my
mm.
engineering background. And the second time, which was the actual one which I attempted,
Okay.
I would say that I didn't even attempt. I was one
Mm.
of the few who got in after their 1.5th attempt, I would say.
Okay.
I would like to put
So
it
I
that
think
way.
you appeared in
So
your third year as well as your fourth year, is that?
no, I appeared in my fourth year, and I was working with
Okay.
my professor during the next 1 year, and that
Okay.
is when I
Okay.
attempted. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say don't restrict yourself to just one university.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, for me, I got into NID but got rejected by MIT. So you never know
Hmm.
where uh, you would end up. But
Right.
just go all guns blazing.
Hmm. So maybe in the first attempt, it was just NID that you gave, and then second time
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had
yeah,
SEED and
yeah.
MIT as a backup.
Correct, correct. I just gave
Right.
it
Okay.
to see what it was, and
Hmm.
yeah, not going into
Okay.
too much details. Otherwise, they'll think that this guy is not serious. But yeah.
No, I'm sure they will not think that seeing you today.
Okay, so no, maybe I'll just go into the details now. There was a motor show that was happening in Mumbai the day I attempted my first
Okay.
NID, and I was
Hmm.
more interested in what is happening at that show, so I just
Okay.
let go of a few questions. Yeah, just to be
Okay. Bad
super.
me jaya. I'll just go and see
Ha,
the
exactly,
motor
exactly.
show instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But that I think shows the passion that you had for,
I
transportation
guess,
and
I guess. Yeah.
right. Okay. Uh, Now that we have spoken a lot about entrance exams, portfolios, jobs, I would like to hear a little about, your experience with Guru Mantra. How did this experience help you in your journey? This question is for both of you, so either of you can go first.
Yeah, so you can take it first.
Okay. So I had mentioned earlier, Guru Mantra was my first introduction to design.
Hmm.
It helped me differentiate between just painting and sketching into adding value, adding substance to also that painting and sketching, and creating like a uh, I don't know, solution seems a wrong way, but just going about the process. How do you actually go about
Hmm.
it? How do things actually work in a real time world about like design? It was just a very good introduction to this field. And it also taught me the holistic way of looking at things, of holistic way of looking at a solution. How do you just not put your head down and focus on the problem itself, but also look around and
Hmm.
see what is causing it and talk to people, go around, go in the go outside and explore and all of that. Those habits have, I think, still stuck to me, and
Hmm.
it just keeps building on. So it was a really good start. It was a good kickstart for me.
Okay. Jaydev?
Yeah. So, uh, as I said, this I would like to use a small example for this. You must have seen those creepers, those plants where you need that
Hmm.
uh, what is that, the small stick that you just push inside
Hmm. Hmm.
the gamla, and it starts taking that root.
Hmm.
So I would give Guru Mantra that place. So on its own, the creeper will find it difficult and maybe wind itself on a pipe or around a wall or wherever it
Hmm.
finds some sort of support. Guru Mantra for me gave me a good direction. I had
Mm.
the ability to take efforts, but efforts in the right direction is what uh, Guru Mantra was for me in a very brief manner.
Okay.
So that stick for a creeper is
Mm.
what Guru Mantra was for me.
Okay.
So, and also one more thing was which I found
Yes.
useful during my seed preparation was in the later stages of our 12th standard when we were preparing for USEED and NID DAT
Mm.
exams. There we had a really good way of preparing for these exams where we split the subject into five subjects and study each subject separately. Where we used to have
Mm.
math lesson separately, where we used to have logistics separately, and we used to have a dedicated time for solving model question papers separately. So I use the
Mm.
exact same method to prepare for my seed. Just not
Mm.
without the actual mentoring, but I use the same
Right.
methodology for it. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay. So directly or indirectly, Guru Mantra helped you for masters.
yeah,
So
we
yeah,
can, yeah,
but I think yeah, that built your foundation quite well. Then I would say that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Wow, it's very nice to hear this. And I think with one last question, we can, open the stage for questions from the audience. Jaydev, one last question for you. So, what do you think would be the difference in career growth after bachelor's versus after master's?
Okay. Uh, I think you start early, and that does give you an additional advantage when you just pursue bachelor's. But I've seen a lot of people who have just done bachelor's. They even Saie would uh, like she is one of those people who has consciously pursued
Hmm.
masters after bachelor's. You sort of have that dilemma. A lot of people that I have met who have done bachelor's, they sort of have that dilemma whether to pursue masters or just continue with their job.
Hmm.
uh, I would say uh, bachelor's gives you a time advantage, but doing bachelor's and masters gives you a maturity advantage where whatever you
Hmm.
do is on a much more profound level. And yeah, so career growth wise, I would say you start early with the bachelor's, just with the bachelor's, but with masters and bachelor's, you start fast later. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think yeah, that's also quite important because many people might be contemplating this question. So I thought we might as well address that. Okay, I think so. This has been great. I think we can open the chat box, and if anybody has any questions, you can directly unmute and ask also. Aparna ma'am, I think do have we given the permission to participants to ask questions directly?
They can put a request to unmute and I can unmute them.
Okay, yeah. So if any of the participants have any questions,
Yeah.
okay, there is one question from Rutva. Does IIT accept BA students for interaction design and masters?
Yes, they do. Few of my seniors have been a part of this course, but it
Hmm.
depends on the batch also. Like, what plans do they have for this particular batch? Like for my batch, they didn't have any. It's
Hmm.
just a combination of designers, architects, and engineers.
Hmm.
So yeah, it actually depends on their decision for that batch. Actually, I'd say.
I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Aparna ma'am can confirm, but I also think there is some constraint about having 12 plus 4 years for when you're applying for masters. Maybe Aparna ma'am can clarify.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so there should be a 4 years degree, and particularly now, even the BA course is transferred to a 4 years degree. So if
Mm.
your BA is of 4 years, then you're eligible for all the design schools, including government institutes like NID, IIT, and even private design schools. But if you have a 3 years degree, then there are limitations on the design schools that you can apply for. So we can have a separate counseling session for the same because it varies according to the universities. So there is next one more question. Uh, it's from Shruti. Do you think a job ladder after masters is better or working for longer in the same company post bachelor's is better?
I
Jaydev,
think
you
the
can.
former, yeah, I'll take that. I think from my personal experience, I would say the former is better because uh, working in the same company exposes you to only the same set of things all over again, project after project. But going into different companies after masters, gathering a wider range of experience is what makes you more relevant and helps you climb the job ladder in a faster way.
Okay, I think we can.
Hello. Hi,
Yes, Prabhu.
Anushree ma'am and Aparna ma'am.
Hello.
It's good to
Hi.
see you here, Saie and Jaydev. So I have two questions actually. So I am kind of confused, but that part is already answered. Whether to pursue masters after directly pursuing bachelors, but so I wanted to ask Saie particularly because I'm looking for IDC as an option because I'm already at NID right now in my fourth year pursuing B.Des in product design itself. So, so the first question is it appreciated directly to study masters after directly you do bachelors, or is it relevant if we work for a few years? Does it add to our portfolio as such before getting into masters, or is it fine just to directly jump after B.Des to M.Des?
Uh, right now, I'd like to say that it is better if you have an year or two of experience.
Okay.
Because I have seen people like my batch consists of people who are freshers like me who directly opted for a master's. They have the disadvantage, I'd say, of not having an industry exposure beforehand. So one or two majority is the people who come here after 1 or 2 years of experience, and then there are people who have a solid of 4 or 5 years of experience, and then they opt for masters also. But I'd say that there is also a good advantage for us is because then they have a fresh set of minds whom they can use to create this different perception of job that people have in their mind. So this I've heard it from professors themselves. I had asked the same question to the professors when I was having doubts myself. Did I take a wrong decision, wrong call for myself? Because I was fairly certain that I want to do this. But then after coming here, after doing it for 1 year, I'm like, okay, even people who are coming here for placements, the recruiters who are coming here for placements do tend to prefer people who have 1 or 2 years of experience. But then it depends on what is your end goal. Do you want to get placed in those big five companies? Do you want them to prefer you, or do you want something you want to start completely new on your own? And you get equal level of education otherwise. It's just they have a good experience of how things work in market world. So I'd say that if you want to go ahead with this decision, then I'd go ahead with it. Having a job experience is just a cherry on top.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you are saying that it adds up somewhere
it does.
having little experience.
Yeah, yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
Thank you. So another question was, so I think you were also a student of product design or industrial design in Srishti, and
Mhm.
you opted for interaction design.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if, so I'm also doing product design.
Mhm.
So do they really, accept that if I am again applying for industrial design in IDC, so is it a concern for them, or so do they take it positively that okay, a person from NID who has studied product design again wants to learn?
Mm.
Because see, why I'm asking you this is in NID I have seen product design masters people also in Ahmedabad campus. So the curriculum there is almost same, I would say, just one step higher because they have a background of maybe engineering or some other field. So I think that's only the difference. But again, is in IDC, I don't know how's the approach to the curriculums.
So I think we also talked the last time you were, but here I remember distinctly during my interview round for industrial design when they found out that I have my bachelor's in industrial design, they grilled me left and right. So they asked me the questions that I wasn't aware of before, that the things that I hadn't thought of before, and they treated me like I knew everything. And my entire point was that I want to learn more about this particular field too. So there are people who are from design backgrounds, like specifically product design background, but their like ratio is very very less. Like you show an interest that you want to go in this specific field, or you want to try something different. If you show that interest yourself, that if you want to do something different that you have already learned from your bachelor's, then they'll consider you as an option. And but most of the times they'll disregard you, saying that what do you want to learn more. They'll ask you itself. So it's on you what kind of background research or homework you do before going to that interview.
Okay.
On the other hand, also, that I would like to say that I have not left my industrial design uh, liking or my inclination towards industrial design, even though I'm a part of interaction design right now. Like you can also pursue it through a multidisciplinary field like interaction design. So people who want to pursue a digital product and digital can go to a UI UX field in interaction design, whereas people like me can go to like a more hands-on perspective in interaction design. So that you can have multiple ways in doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Good to hear.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody?
Meanwhile, Anushree ma'am, you can just share the workshop which we are going to organize for these
Yes.
students. Prithu, as you are here, I have a question for you. You did your one of the internship at DRDO. So would
Yeah.
you like to share any experience of, getting such exposure from government or prestigious institutes like NID and IIT? Why everybody, thinks of going into these design schools?
Okay. So firstly, I'll say that there is more chance of exposure to these government related sectors in compared to private schools, because there are direct tie-ups or MOUs with these institutions of design. So that's a plus point, I would say. But if you ask me personally about my experience of the internship at DRDO, it was quite, it was unexpected to see the kind of work that happens over there. I mean, I can't obviously share all the details, but to the concern, I must say that uh, it was interesting. But things do take time in government, as in there are minus points also along with these plus points. I mean, to say that I have worked with DRDO, I think, yeah, it adds to the whatever the CV and portfolio stuff. But the actual project as such is not really a good learning for me in terms of design, I would say. I learned the whole system and the kind of working environment that is there in the government, but I would say it's not the ideal environment for any designer to be in. I think that's my very frank and, I mean, personal opinion about it. But
And
yeah,
how
there
about
are
your
there are
railway project?
sorry.
How about your railway project? You did even that also, no?
Yeah, so I was about to say that. So I did a
Hmm.
project with ISRO also. So there was a competition of. So there is this current mission happening called Axiom, something in which some NASA people are going to the International Space Station. So I'm proud to be a part of that mission, in which we have designed some souvenirs from India by to take to the International Space Station by an Indian astronaut. So some projects are really like your life changing and the best achievements that you can have, because these things are other way inapproachable if you go by individual methods. Like if I apply to DID or ISRO, they might not really entertain me. But yeah, in terms of railways also, I was a part of a team in which we went to National Rail Museum in New Delhi. So this I did in my second year. That was also a very good project. So there also we designed a few souvenirs, and so that was more about spreading the heritage of Indian railways. And what we did was we designed a list of things like infographics or some souvenirs, some collectibles, which would spread the history of Indian railways to the people or the visitors of the museum. So that was again a live project. So one advantage is we get a lot of such live projects that actually we can talk with those people, to the government authorities. We get official permissions to do anything that we can, and that's a really good thing that you won't get it the other way. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Prithu. Yes, Anushree ma'am.
Yes. So I think we already spoke a lot about, how we need to upskill even if, you are applying for masters or maybe you're already pursuing bachelor's. This is again for the participants that we have today. Like Aparna ma'am mentioned, we are offering this workshop on next weekend. That is 21st June, Saturday. And AI is, of course, one of the most feared, but at the same time, I think, most required skills today. So we have come up with this workshop, AI X Design. That's the new creative equation. We will be discussing and training or exploring tools for exploring generative AI, generative design, how prompt engineering works. It can boost your creativity further, and we'll also be talking a little more about what skills future designers might need in their careers in this AI powered world.
So those who are interested, you will be getting this information on the numbers and emails that you have registered with. So you can register from the link which will be shared with you. And there are only 15 seats for the same. So you'll be getting the link today itself and you can register. Once the 15 slots are done, the booking will stop. And this will be conducted by Kiran sir, who is a co-founder director of Gurumantra. He is product designer from IDC with 30 plus years of experience into industry and academia. And Anushree ma'am, who is a principal mentor at Gurumantra. So this good combination of expertise will be there to guide you on various topics and impact of AI in design and how you can make AI your buddy in this design journey. So looking forward for the registrations. Uh, I think there are no further questions in the chat box right now. It was a pleasure to have you, Saie and Jaydev. These participants have got a real good insights and inspiration from your journey and the experiences you shared today. So thank you so much. And participants, thank you for listening to us patiently and keep joining such webinars for more clarity. And we are also starting master's preparation classes from 5th of July. So those who look forward to masters, first attend the workshop, get a gist of design domain, and then you can decide whether you want to start preparing from right now. So thank you so much.
Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you, Saeed. Thank you, Jaydev.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.